All right, so here we are after a brief break and an eventful eclipse day, wherever you were. No, I went to my front porch.
Did your family go over?
No, they went to a balcony.
By the way, I will not be here. It's 12 hours driving.
Yeah.
It will be only on Wednesday.
Yeah. So, we were learning last time about salt, and we had finished the Mechaber. We had not yet learned the Alter Rebbe. So we are going to start from Yud Zayin and the Alter Rebbe, 17. No, not yet. Malasot. All right, Kli Rishon. Afilu lachar she'aviru me'al ha'or. A Kli Rishon, even after it was removed from the fire, the vashel cooks. Calls man sheyatze let his boy, as long as it is yatze let his boy. That's why it's forbidden to add spices to it. V'toiv limnoya milasis talim b'klirish nafilo any atlas b'kdei. It's good not even to add spices to a klirishon that's less than yatzalet boy in order to make a siyag, an extra fence for this matter. Al melech mutar litem b'sech, you're allowed to put salt in it. Kivin shevirim ala H, once you took it off the fire. We're learning Alter Rebbe about salt. Kivin sheviroy because salt has to be very well cooked, like the meat of an ox. And it only cooks on the fire. This was the first opinion in the Gemara, we said. Sorry, this is the second opinion, the Ikad Ox meat itself you cannot put into a Kli Rishon, because even though the meat itself does not cook in a Kli Rishon that's off the fire, we said that. Nevertheless, the Rosh suggested that the liquid on it might cook. Unless it's dry, so that there's no liquid on it at all. And some say salt only needs a little bit of cooking. Therefore, you cannot put it in a Kli Sheini. As long as it's let us and the Alter Rebbe says a person who is machmer, like that opinion, should receive a bracha. That's actually the same words as the Ramah, the same words as Tosfos. Because if you remember, Tosfos is the one who said, well, the Amri, who should we pass like, it's a Raisa. And he said the main halacha is that it's permissible, but a machmer tava le'bracha. That's what Tosfos says. So
what does mean also Kli Shlishi?
Kli Shlishi, I don't know if you have to be machmer. The whole thing is only a chumrah, and many say Kli Shlishi doesn't cook anything, so it's like it's a double chumrah.
So what he means when he said about bracha?
Kli Sheini.
Kli Sheini. Shlishi has no problem.
He doesn't say clearly, but l'chu'ura, it's already double chumrah. I'm not saying there's no place to be machmer. A person who wants to be machmer, but it's not what he's saying.
He's going all the way to Kli Sheini.
Yeah. If he put it into the food on the fire, if he put it into the food on the fire, he definitely did an Isur d'Oraisa. Nevertheless, the food is mutar. But some are strict. Some are strict until Motzei Shabbos. Who remembers the reasons for these two opinions? We had the Taz and the Magen Avraham.
And what's the question?
If a person added salt to a pot that's on the fire, mamash on the fire, he did an Isser D'Oraisa. On the fire, everybody agrees that on the fire he can cook.
With the Avad, it's okay.
Why? That's one opinion. That's the Magen Avraham.
Yes.
Why?
Because he did not remember that. He just.
When
he said one second. When he said I'm sorry, maybe not extremism.
You did explain yourself. You said he didn't remember. And we already learned that a person who does an Isser D'Oraisa, even by accident, it's us until after Shabbos. He learned it.
Because the melach is not considered to bishul.
No. Sorry.
Okay.
That's not correct.
Okay.
Melach could be cooked. But there's a machlokes and a kli rishon off the fire. But kli rishon on the fire, everybody agrees it could be cooked. Yes.
Is it because the salt that was already there? Gave it
Exactly. So the Magen Avraham quotes, I think it's the Trumas Hadashem, who says that it's zev v'zeh goyim. They're both causing it. In other words, certainly everybody salts their food before Shabbos. I mean, who doesn't salt any food? The only thing is that he didn't salt it enough, and that's why he wanted to salt it more. So it's zev v'zeh goyim. You have some of the saltiness comes from a permissible salt. Some of the saltiness comes from a forbidden salt. And the rule is, when you have two things that cause it, and it is a what's the word? One is mutter, one is aser. The halacha is that it's mutter. For example, if you plant something orla, you plant an orla, seed in the ground. The orla seed is aser b'hana. The ground is not aser b'hana. So zev v'zeh goyim. The product is mutter. That's a rule.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, the salt is like מנשלים אותו טיפה, או שלא?
כלי ראשון על האש, כן. יש עיסוק בשביל. אם זה טיפה או הרבה, זה...
No, before.
We're going to learn about that. Now, before we go into the Taz's opinion, who says that it's Aser, the question that I have for you on the Magen Avraham's opinion is, what about the principle of Davar sheyesh lematirin afilu be'elef loy bottle? The salty taste that is Aser should not be bottle, even though there's another cause of a permissible salt. But it's a davar sheyesh lematir, and it's going to be permissible after Shabbos, presuming that he did it b'shoigeg. So maybe it should be also.
Did we discuss this, or you're just asking?
We did.
Yes, we did discuss it. Yes.
I said it very quickly, so I won't hold it against you.
And I said it's like Passover.
Okay, here's what it is. This is just good for you to broaden your Torah knowledge as it applies to various aspects of halacha. So that which we say, that a thing that is going to become permissible later is not nullified even in 1,000, is only if that thing gets has a existence of its own as a separate entity before it's nullified in the larger item that it's mixed into. If it never got its separate entity, so it never became a separate item of prohibition, at the very time that it came prohibited, it already was part of something else, then it could be nullified. Like the salt. In other words, when you put the salt in before you put it in, it wasn't forbidden. As soon as you put it in, it melts. How long does it take to cook? A long time. Right? The main halacha is that it is like cooking an ox. So by that time that it cooks, it's already totally mixed in. So then it could be nullified, even though it's a davar sheyesh lematir. And I'll give you an example of this elsewhere from Hilchos Shabbos. Mashkin shezavu means liquids that flow out of fruit. So if you have, let's say, a whole bunch of grapes in a barrel, and on the bottom there pools some grape juice, the pressure. So that's called mashkin shezavu. That liquid is forbidden on Shabbos. Because if you could drink it, maybe you would forget and squeeze the grapes. And halacha is that if that liquid, squeezing grapes, dare I say, yeah. So if that liquid, if there was already permissible liquid on the bottom, and it just, from before Shabbos, exactly, and it just went straight in there, then it could become nullified. And we don't say davar sheish lematir nafil b'atle because it never had a separate existence, you understand, of forbidden juice. It right away became part of the rest of the juice. So therefore, that doesn't apply. Same thing here. All right, here comes the Taz, my friends. The Taz says, no, you got it wrong. Zevzeh Garim is only permissible. Both of the Garmim, both of the causes, are acting at the same time. So at the same time, it's becoming the item is being caused by something permissible and something forbidden. So we say it's not clear that the forbidden thing caused it, so it's permissible. However, he says, if the permissible thing already did whatever power, it already used up its power, and it didn't bring the desired result, along came the forbidden thing and did the final thing, like the final hammer blow, brought it to its desired, level, whatever you need to bring it to, and it was only the forbidden thing at that time that brought it to that level, then it's going to become forbidden. So again, what happened here? He salted the fruit before Shabbos. Not enough. Right now, if you taste it, it's not really good. I mean, you can't really serve it to your guests. It's embarrassing. So, but now the forbidden salt, the permissible salt is already mixed in. That's it. When the forbidden salt is added, what gives it the actual salty taste, which is the objective, is only the forbidden salt. Because the permissible salt is already gone. It's already mixed in. So in that case, the Taz says we associate the taste with the actual forbidden salt, because that's what actually made it tasty.
So this more humra not to touch.
Exactly. That's the Taz's opinion.
But I don't really like salt. If you put little bit salt, it's already, I don't like it. So that's if you add more, it's for me it's not miyafe.
You don't like it, or you just have high blood pressure and it's bad for you?
I don't like it. If somebody's put it, but I in my food I don't put salt. Yeah, but if my mom cooks, for sure she's salted there.
I hear.
So it make a difference, or is it?
I don't know if it make a difference if you like it or not. The fact is, this salty taste comes from a forbidden taste, according to the Taz. You don't like it; it's there.
Why does the salty taste come from the end and not the beginning?
Because the beginning is already gone. It's already gone, and it's not noticeable yet. Not noticeable
But the
yet.
last one couldn't have its power if there wasn't the foundation in the first place.
That's true, but that's the.
Or else that would be the.
But it's like the final hammer blow when it comes to making.
Rough.
Exactly, when it comes to the malacha of Shabbos, the final hammer blow, you could argue, why is the final hammer blow so important? I mean, without the 30 other blows before or whatever, you wouldn't have it. Okay, but the fact is, this is what ends it. This is what finishes it. So that's the Taz's argument.
Well,
I mean, obviously there's merit to your argument too, because the Magen Avraham Paskin is not like that, but that's the Taz's argument.
So I'm thinking about another question. You put a little bit salt. For you, it's not good. For me, it's too much salt. So it's already salt for me, already there. So if you put, it's not changed because it's already salt.
Not sure. I hear.
So it's not counted.
I hear your question. I don't know. I hear it. I don't know.
If someone did something a lot of times, but the last blow broke it. Are all the people chayav? Like I remember hearing the case of an elevator.
Broke what?
Many people stepped on, but the last one stepped on. Is he chayav or everyone's chayav? Or the bench, you wanted to have more bench.
Yeah, it's exactly with a bench we had in Baba Kama. Not too long ago, the Daf Yomi.
I think if you people beat another person to death, so is responsible.
I think it's the last one. I think it's the last one. I'm not mistaken, it's the last one. I'm not mistaken. I think there's a case where they're all chayim. Perhaps if they're all still sitting on it.
That's also sense.
It's a bit fuzzy in my mind. But definitely if the last one is the one that did it, and without his thing it wouldn't have happened, then it's the last one that's chayiv. There is a case where they're all chayiv.
Because the mat was also, right? That's where it sounds familiar, that case with the bench.
What I remember from Bava Kama, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, my friends. We go on to the Machaber in Seif Yud. 2 lines. Aser litain tavlin b'kaira v'laris aleihem mikli rishon. It's forbidden to put spices in a plate and pour on them from a kli rishon. Why? Your mikli rishon is mevashal what? Kedei klipa. When you pour something from a kli rishon, it cooks a peel's depth in the item that you're pouring onto. So if you pour onto spices, you're going to have a problem that those spices are being cooked by the pour.
Even worse, that's probably not even a klipa. The thing is a klipa.
Right. So the whole thing is being cooked. Why does he talk about spices? Simple. Because, I'm sorry? Simple. No, I'll get to your answer in a minute. But the simple reason is because the whole basis for this sack is based on a Mishnah that discusses spices. The Mishnah in Daf Mem Beis, Amud Aleph, and Amud Beis in Shabbos says as follows. If you took a pot off the fire and it was hot, you cannot put spices into them. But you could put the spices into the plate or into the serving plate. Now, Tosfos has 2 ways of understanding this Mishnah, 2 opposite ways. One is the Rashbam, and one is Rabbeinu Tam. Listen carefully. The Rashbam says, the Mishnah says you can't put it into the ilfis or the kedeira, into the pot or the pan. That you can't do. But pouring onto them from the pot or from the pan doesn't say it's forbidden. That must be allowed. Otherwise, why does it say you can't put it into the kli rishon, say a bigger chiddush? You can't pour it onto the kli rishon. Must be, says the Rashbam. It's no problem. Pouring from the kli rishon is nothing. If you take a pot or a pan off the fire and it's still hot, you cannot put spices into it. So the Rashbam says, why does it give that example, mamish, into the kli rishon, if there's a bigger chiddush that you can't even pour onto it from the kli rishon? That's the Rashbam's diuk. Rabbeinu Tam, look it up. You'll see when you see it in the Mishnah. The oisius machkimas. The words will make it clear. Rabbeinu Tam focuses on the end of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, you could put the spices into the plate once you took it from the pan and you transferred it to a plate, you can put the spices onto the plate. Says Ibn Tam, why does it say you can put on the plate? Why doesn't it say that you can pour on it from the Kli Rishon? The Gerchidish. Says Ibn Tam, just the opposite of the Rashbam. No, you can't pour on it from a Kli Rishon because that would cook it. It's only allowed in a Kli Sheini. It's only allowed to put it on a plate. So each of them are focusing on the beginning of the Mishnah or the end of the Mishnah, trying to extract their opinion, which they support based on other Gemaras, by the way. Rashbam has other Gemaras that he believes proves that there's no cooking when you pour from a Kli Rishon. Ibn Tam has other Gemaras that he believes that there is. And I'll tell you some of them in a minute. But each one grabs on a different side of the Mishnah and says, oh, I'm right. So the bottom line is, since the basis of this discussion in Hilchos Shabbos is the Mishnah about spices, that's why the Mechaber chooses to talk about spices. However, there is an opinion, and that's the Iruy Tal, the Sachat Rebbe. He also wrote the Avnei Nezer, very famous, one of the Achrayim, especially in Hilchos Shabbos, because the whole Sefer Iruy Tal is about Hilchos Shabbos. Avnei Nezer is a Sefer of Chuvas, which is, about Kol HaTorah Kula. But Iruy Tal is just about Shabbos. And he says there that it's only tavlin, it's only spices that's the problem. Why? Simple. He says spices are very thin. So when you pour on it from a Kli Rishon, it's taka gonna cook. When you pour in something thick from a Kli Rishon, so what does it mean it's gonna cook? It's gonna, the very thin layer of it is gonna cook a little bit, but nothing worth eating.
Thick like a soup.
No, thick like a piece of meat. You pour from a hot kettle onto a raw piece of meat. What's it going to do for you? It's going to cook it a little bit.
It's already cooked.
No, I'm talking about if it's not cooked. If it's cooked, go ahead, pour away.
The meat, basar chai.
Basar chai. You don't want to talk about raw meat because it's muktzah. Talk about a carrot. You're going to pour hot water on a carrot. It's not going to make such a difference. It'll make a very small difference. So he says that that would be mutter, because it's basically cooking on one side k'machal ben drusoi, which is not the haraisa.
Which is not the haraisa. On one side?
Because it's only on the outside. It's only on the surface. It's not on the inside. It's not through and through.
But if it's a carrot, it would still be edible.
That's true, but it's not. But it's still not. It's not a cooking in terms of the definition of a cooked carrot. It's not properly cooked.
What?
You understand? As far as a cooked carrot, it's like machal b'musay. You know what I'm saying? A raw carrot is edible. Cooked carrot is also edible. But is this properly cooked? Not really.
But it's still edible.
I understand, but it's not properly cooked.
Why we don't use the words, in the Torah, if it's a dalet or resh, it's a little bit. So here it was a little bit. You cooked it.
Actually, Malachas machshavas asur Torah. Malachas machshavas asur Torah. The Torah forbade an important type of work. So on Shabbos, for example, if a person did, let's say, he did the malacha, but he did it in an unimportant way. He did it with the back of his hand. You asked me, Shaila, the other day. It's late. He's tired. The light is on. He wants to go to sleep. So he wants to, with his elbow, he wants to turn off the light.
Allowed to do that?
No, you're not allowed. But he wants to do it. If he did it, it's only d'Rabbanan. D'Rabbanan?
Not d'Oraita.
Not d'Oraita. Some say you're allowed, double d'Rabbanan, whatever. It's complicated, but it's for sure not d'Oraita.
What about you drink too much and you take a drink alcohol too much and you fell on the switch?
It's not Purim. We're not talking about Purim. We're talking about Shabbos.
It's the same thing with the hand.
Purim does never coincide with Shabbos. Maybe in Yerushalayim, but other than that, it doesn't happen. Anyway, the point is that
So he switched it with them by accident.
Melechas Machshavas Esoter. So the Rambam says, listen carefully. Even though you're chai from Machal Ben Rusai, if you cook something Machal Ben Rusai, that's only if you cook the whole thing Machal Ben Rusai.
The right then.
All right. If you cook one side of it Machal Ben Rusai, so even Ben Rusai is not going to eat it. He's not going to eat a half of the outside side of a piece of meat. He wants his piece of meat cooked like Ben Rusai. When he comes into the restaurant, he says, you know what I want? I give him what he wants. He doesn't want half of what he wants. So that's, the Rambam says, that's not melechas machshavas. That's not important. To cook half of the piece halfway, zelo chashuv, that's not important.
Why from the first time he put hot water in that? That's the reason.
Why did he do it?
He's going to flip it the other side and pour another water?
I don't know why he did it. It's a good question. I don't know. This is a theoretical discussion.
Okay.
I don't know why he would do it, honestly. Yeah.
Isn't it possible that the heat from the top could still seep through depending on the piece?
I mean, you're asking, one second. What you're asking is, can a Sheini cook? Is your question, in other words. Because once it falls and it's just sitting there, then it's a Sheini.
Right.
Can a Sheini cook? Well, the answer is yes, some things it can. Most things it can. So, yeah, if it's a kalei habishol, if it's like a thin fish or something, yes, it could. But if it's not, then presumably not. I mean, we don't know exactly. Some things are, some things aren't. I mean, we're strict in a Sheini. But I'm saying most things actually don't cook. Even if we're strict, it's only a chumrah. It's not the main halacha. The main halacha is a Sheini. It doesn't cook.
So that's the halacha myself. This one, it's not in any way cooking. If it's only
Halacha l'maisa, we said before that there are opinions that one should be strict in the Sheini. Certainly, Ashkenazim are strict in the Sheini. A, because it looks like cooking, and B, because there are some things that it cooks and we don't know what it is. So I'm not saying it's mutter, but it. So what's the nafkamina you're asking? If anyway it's not done in a Sheini. First of all, we said spices are different because the Gemara, the Mishnah says clearly you can put spices in a Sheini. So we know spices are okay in a Sheini. But other things, you're right. Other things, like we said before, the Tosfos and the Iruy are strict not to do a Sheini anyway. That's true. So there's not really so much difference. Anyway, you're not even doing a Sheini. But at least for spices, it's an nafkamina. And for liquids, which also don't cook in a Sheini. Because the Gemara that talks about Rabbi taking a bath, if you remember, heating the oil. So we see it doesn't, liquids also don't cook. Okay. Anyway, that's the opinion of but it's not the simple halacha. Most of the Achronim disagree with him for the simple reason that even if it's not an Isser D'Oraisa, it's still an Isser D'Rabbanan, because we know Chatzi Shir Asam and Atayra. So if when you would cook the whole piece, Kamach ben Rasai, it would be an Isser D'Oraisa. So when you cook half the piece, it's like a Chatzi Shir. It's like you did half of the malacha. So exactly. So most of the Chachamim, most of the Achronim, I should say, disagree with Eglei Tal. But it's nevertheless worth noting.
And what's the punish for Rabbanan? Or the Tikkun?
I mean, they used to give Makas Mardas for the Rabbanan, but here it's...
Just not to touch the food. It's a sword.
If a person did an Isser Rabbanan, that is also according to all opinions, and he did it b'nezid, then it would be also till after Shabbos B'leishi Yasa. But if he did it b'shoigig, or if it's mutter according to some opinions, then it will be mutter b'diavad.
For him too.
Yeah.
That's according to everybody?
I believe it is according to everybody, yeah. I mean, some are mutter even on a daraisa, that is mutter for some to benefit from it b'diavad.
It was an accident.
No.
What was it against?
If somebody did an action which is usher according to some, deraisa, mutter according to others, like bishalach or bishal balach, so b'diavad, some say you could benefit from it because it's not a b'diavad.
Most, right? We said there was a majority opinion.
I don't know.
We quoted the Torah, you said not, but who else?
Magen Avraham also. I thought it was based on Magen Avraham. But the Mishnah Berurah is Mekel on that. Ravadia is Mekel on that. I don't know majority. I'm not sure.
Majority of our list.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so what was I saying? I was saying that the Machlekes Rashbam and Aben Tam and why the Shulchan Aruch chooses to talk about Tavlin. Okay, so I just want to give you a little taste of the Machlekes, the Rashbam and Aben Tam. Just a little taste. And this ties into Basa B'chalav, which some of you were here for. So it's always good to get a reminder and a review, and those that were not yet, well, let's learn it at a good time. So the halacha is, of course, that if there's a mixture of hot and cold, one is coming from the top, another one is coming from the bottom. Which one wins? Which one wins? Tata Gavar, the bottom one wins, that's correct. So therefore, if something cold falls into something hot, what happens? It cooks it. Cooks it. If something hot falls into something cold, then what? Kedei klipa. Why?
Because the bottom wins.
The bottom wins.
The bottom wins, you just scrape off the top, kedei klipa, and you're good to go.
Why do you need a kedei klipa?
Just the top.
If the bottom wins, the bottom wins. That's it.
There's still some absorption at the top layer.
Why?
The first drop. The first drop-
Why? Just give me some explanation.
Okay. The first drop is a klipa. So that first drop is boiling, touch the first. And this is called klipa.
I understand, but why? If the bottom one wins, that means the bottom one is cold, so it should win. Why? It's like you're saying it doesn't really win. It wins, but it's limping at the end.
Yes.
Sorry?
It mixes.
The Mishnah says, the Gemara says, while it's cooling it off, it absorbs a little bit. Right? It's talking about, let's say, meat. Meat falls into milk. The milk is cold. The meat is hot. So while the milk is cooling off the meat, it absorbs a little bit. So that's why you need a kedei klipa. So,
How much is that?
yeah,
Peel.
peels that.
As much as you can.
As much as you can cut off without the peel disintegrating. It's not like sawing it off, sanding it off with the sandpaper where the pieces are just little things. It's enough that you cut, and what you cut retains, it's like the thinnest slice that you can thin, and it's still a slice. Like when you go to the guy to slice the cold cuts, if it's too thin, it just falls apart. It has to be a slice that holds together.
Salami.
Exactly.
Salami, right?
Exactly. Okay. So the point is, the Rashbam says, just like over there we see that the bottom wins, so to here, if you're pouring something hot onto something cold, the bottom wins. There's no cooking. Rabbi Tam says, no, we see at the maker leibola that while the top thing is getting cooled off, there is an exchange of a little amount of flavor, and that's why you need the peel. And that's the concept of it cooking a kedei klipa. In defense of his opinion, the Rashbam says, there's a difference between belia and bishul. Just because some of the milk is absorbed in the meat doesn't mean that it's cooking it. You have the concept of absorption that is not necessarily related to the concept of cooking.
Cold and cold.
Cold and cold also. If you do kavush for 24 hours, right? If you soak something for 24 hours, that's called kavush. That's like pickling, and it absorbs, but it's still not bishul. Bishul is bishul, and blia is blia. It's two different things. So therefore, the Rashbam says that's not a proof. But according to Rebbeinu Tam, that is, he would use that as one of his proofs, that we see that a klipa is significant. Okay. I'm not sure if I have anything else to say about that.
So what ends up with the machlokes?
What ends up with the machlokes is that in Hilchos Shabbos, we only bring down Rebbeinu Tam. We don't even mention the Rashba. When it comes to Basa B'Chalav, on the other hand, we bring both opinions down. And the Alter explains that it's simply a question of Chiyuv Chatos and Skila. That's all. Really, it's a machlokes. It is a machlokes. When it comes to Shabbos, we're strict. So we just bring down the idea of Rebbeinu Tam. But in fact, it is a machlokes. So, for example, the Taz says, you can't kasher with Iruy Mikli Rishon. Because according to Rashbam, that's not a Kli Rishon. So, doesn't have, when you pour from a Kli Rishon, doesn't have the heat of a Kli Rishon. So, I'm saying whenever, another example of this is in Hilchos Brachos. I think I mentioned this last time. There are certain halachas about bread that that is cooked. If you cook a piece of bread that's smaller than a kazayas, it becomes mazonos. Yes?
The croutons.
Croutons are cooked.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Is it actually bread?
If you pour, that's an interesting question. If you pour from the soup onto the croutons, let's say they're hamoitzi croutons. If you pour from the soup onto the croutons, how you cook them? Maybe you want to make them into mazonos. Exactly. Maybe you want to transform them to mazonos. Not so simple, because some say that pouring from a Kli Rishon does not cook. And it's a machlokes that has no clarity at the end of the day. So again, in Hilchos Shabbos, we're going to be strict, but in Hilchos Brachos, not necessarily. Maybe it's not cooked. Maybe it's just soaked, and therefore the bread would stay on moitzi. All right. Okay.
A knife that was used for meat. It's always used for meat, onions, meaty things, make cholents.
Yeah.
And whatever, a few hours later, it doesn't. I don't think it was 24 hours. I don't know if it made a difference here. It's completely cleaned. We cleaned it off, and we took it out of the drawer, and we cut bread.
Mm-hmm.
Does that bread become any type of status, or it stays part?
If it's cleaned properly, it stays parv.
It's like the stabbing of the
Can I
ground.
use it lechatchila?
That's actually a machlokes. That's actually a machlokes. I have to remember if we had a clear psak on that.
I mean, didn't the knife have the knife have to be cleaned? Remember the stabbing the ground 10 times?
Yeah.
Which modern day would be considered.
What would we consider? Cleaning?
The knife had to be cleaned, but stabbing it in the ground 10 times would transform.
If I'm not mistaken, the main halacha is that if it's properly cleaned, it's okay.
Lechatchila, you're gonna use it for just to cut part things.
Yeah. Things that have no
Yeah.
things that have no sharpness.
Right.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
he said it was used for onions.
It was
used for onions.
Yeah, but now
Right.
the fact that you use it once for onions doesn't mean that it's going to give out that taste.
Even if I use it for onions within 24 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to give it out.
And a sink is made out of metal. What was not used for anything unkosher for 24 hours, but it was used for kosher things within 24 hours. Are you allowed to kosher that sink?
Yeah.
So,
The whole thing of waiting 24 hours applies to
Just text that he's having a problem joining them.
it applies to non-kosher things need 24 hours, but from heter to heter doesn't need 24 hours. Okay, so I see David Walker joined and left.
Yeah,
and rejoined. Daniel joined and left, so I'm not sure what the problem is. What to do?
Go to
See the start.
Yeah.
What happened, Rabbi? You didn't go to South Carolina?
No,
Did your family?
no, stayed local.
I'm supposed to go too, but my car is not good for that.
Alright.
No, because my daughter, she's going to Israel.
And during the Tishrin
It was impressive.
Who's going to college?
Karen,
As a college.
Oh, it is here.
in Israel. Oh, in Jerusalem.
I don't know what to say.
1 year.
Oh, seminary.
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 Seminary was out of.
איפה בית חגי?
By the guy.
Which one?
שהיה בבית חגי.
Beit Yaakov.
Who been by the guy? I was in yeshiva in that when I was young.
Which one?
They closed them. There was only one
That's because you left.
yeshiva.
They couldn't raise money anymore.
That's a very good.
Someone else looked at a psak that the whole what's it called couldn't be kosher. The
The
whole
what?
sink couldn't be kosher because something mutter, something because we use the sink within 24 hours, so the whole sink can't be kosher. I said to them, I don't know. I didn't know the office.
Okay, he can see on YouTube. Fine. Use the sink within 24 hours. Well, if
The person even said 12 hours. I don't know. I don't know much about these things.
no, there isn't opinion 12 hours, but if you use it within 24 hours, but there was a 24-hour break from the Isser,
Sure.
and you use it for permissible things, it'll be okay.
And to kosher, you just put hot boiling water.
Doesn't depend on what the.
Again, there's different levels of koshering, but we discussed it.
No, that was for the bread. This is for the milk. Same then?
Same. Okay, my friends, we are going to learn the Alter Rebbe about Iruy from Kli Rishon.
No update on the next parliament?
No, but you should have the.
Yeah. No.
Actually, you know what? I never did Sif Yud Ches in the Alter Rebbe. Let's just go back to that. It's finishing up the halachas of salt. Yud Ches. V'chol zeh b'melach she'eino mevushal. Av melach shelonu shemesakna moisto le'bishal v'mayim mutar lidna b'kli rishon le'rakol. She'en bishal acha bishal b'davar yavish. Afilu ne'melach le'bishal. Zeh ha'sheni k'mishas bar l'mayim. The whole chumrah of salt only applies to salt that was not cooked. Salt that was cooked, Bakasha, put it in a Kli Rishon. Now you can't put it on the fire just because you can't put anything on the fire when it's cooked, just because it's mechzik and malash. But off the fire, Bakasha, no problem.
When you cook melach, you put it with the water, or just cook the melach by itself?
How do they cook it? Is that your question? How do they cook salt?
Yeah.
I think the sea salt, I think they actually cook it. The mineral salt, I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I'm not even sure.
So it's already cooked.
The sea salt is cooked. I don't know about the mineral salt. I don't know if the mineral salt that we have today is cooked.
The one we have in the house is cooked.
If it's sea salt, yes.
So it's no problem to add it.
Yeah, mikar halacha.
Can
However, when we come a person who is strict with cooked salt, like it were other salt, still gets a bracha. Now, what is the reason for this bracha? To get a bracha, you have to do something that has place in halacha. Not stam.
It's like left tefillin. You have to have left tefillin.
It's a sieg
What's the siag?
that you won't come to do with milk that's not cooked.
Oh, it's an interesting shot. Interesting shot. That it could be, there could be a mistake about that. I mean, we don't say that about other things. Otherwise, we don't say don't cook something cooked because you may cook something not cooked. Right? You're saying maybe salt looks the same.
Right.
Can't really tell. Maybe you'll get mixed up. Interesting. But actually, the way the Achronim understand this is the Mordechai, by the way. The Mordechai is the one who says this. They understand the Mordechai to hold that something that is solid that becomes a liquid has the din of a liquid. We mentioned this a few times already. So if you say that something that is solid now and turns into a liquid is a solid in Bishul V'Yavish, no problem, right? But if you say that when it becomes a liquid, it has the din of a liquid already from now, so a liquid, yesh b'shalach b'shal balach. So this salt is going to become liquid right away. And when it's a liquid, you can't reheat a liquid, even if it was cooked already. So this is the basis of that chumrah. This Mordechai is the base of that chumrah. That a yavish, and that's alach, is treated as alach.
So I'm going to my question before. If I put it in water and I put it on the blach, and it's water, salty, on the blach, can I take that water and mix it like it? I take the salt and I put it in a cup in the water.
How can you put water on the blach? I don't understand. You're eating water on Shabbat?
No, you take a cup, but not plastic cup. You put water in it, and you put salt in it.
How do you put water on the blach on Shabbat? Explain to me.
Before Shabbat.
Oh, before Shabbat?
Yes.
Okay,
that's how you do it. Before Shabbat.
And now what's
now
the
you
question?
got this water. It's a lot of melach in it. So melach b'fnim. And
From
now
before Shabbat or on Shabbat?
before Shabbat.
Yeah,
now
go
it's,
ahead.
now it's if you want to add salt, you take the water and you add it. You're allowed to do that. Or not?
No,
It's in the block together with the same pot.
you can't add salt to anything on the
But this
blach.
is the plot. This is the block, right? You got the pot and you got the water next to it.
Why is water different than your chalent? You have chalent on the blach. You're allowed to add salt? Open it up, add some salt, maybe some pepper, garlic. I mean, why not?
It means that it's salty water.
Why is water different
Because
than chalent?
he is on the block.
So
Yes,
is the chalent.
yes.
The chalent is on the blach,
But the
yes?
salt is not in the block.
You just said it is.
No, if you said you just take and add that. Okay. You're talking about something else. If this one here, if the cup is on the block, you're allowed to do it or not?
If I'm asking you a question,
Yes.
if the chalent is on the blach, are you allowed to add salt to the chalent? Yes or no?
From where the salt comes?
From the
From the cupboard. Where else does salt come from?
I don't think you can add anything in it.
Okay, so why is
Sure,
the cup different? Why are you asking about
Because
the cup?
this one, it's a part of the. It's like if you want a cup of. Okay, before we study, if you have the chamin and you have the kum for in the same blach, you can take a water from
So
here.
what are you saying? You have salt on the blach and you want to add it to the water? I don't understand what you're saying.
No, the salt is already liquid in the cup.
Yeah. What do you want to do with it?
Okay,
And what do you want to do with it?
you got with water, right? You allowed to and it's in the blach. You allowed to take the hot water and pour it in the chamin. We said that.
Machloket.
Machloket.
Yes,
So
sure.
if in that kumkum you put a lot of salt in it,
According to the material, yeah. If you have
That's
a
what I
salty
meant.
water, yeah.
so that cup
Akasha.
that's what I meant.
Akasha, yeah.
So this is okay, better than the take from the.
Yes, but I honestly don't know what the point is. But yes, if you want to, you can. If you want salty chalent, you can put salt in it before Shabbat.
Yeah.
There's no point. I mean, the point of adding water is in case it dries out.
That's a really good idea. No, because now doesn't. If you want salt, I wouldn't be able to go on Shabbat. No. Trying to think of a way that you'd be able to put salt in your water, have it warmed up, to be on Shabbat, to be able to put in your chalent because you really want salt.
No, you can't.
Right, but then you should just put salt in your chalent before Shabbat.
Well, it doesn't get it way short of salt.
Right.
Oh, the conversation about
No,
if
because
the
then you
food
take it
salt or
off
not
of your
salt.
plate, then you put so what if it's coming out of your kli Rishon onto your plate, so it's kli Sheini, you'd be allowed to add salt on kli Sheini?
Kli Sheini is a machlekes, we said before. There's two versions of the Gemara, and the main halacha is that it's mutter, but a machmer tavale bracha.
And so if someone, so someone who wants to be machmer would not add salt to his hot food.
Right.
To his hot food that came out from him.
Or klish l'shiyah.
You know what I saw recently? You're not allowed to add salt.
Either first or right away after. If you add oil right away after, it's also okay.
Right, because then it's not letting it take the course of, what is it, pickling? Or
Yeah.
Pickling, yeah.
On the salad.
Tell me what we're running.
So you,
What's that?
Was there a certain way Rabbi Madia?
Well, it was lemonade.
What was the style?
I don't know. I saw Rami Israel says.
so what he meant about the salad to put first?
Unless you put the dressing
Also,
on
it's a
right
general
away.
vegetable.
Yeah, it's not
It has
just
nothing to do
salad.
with that. That's lettuce specifically.
No,
That's,
not just lettuce. Cucumbers, radishes.
Fresh salad. I have to put some type lemon or oil or
Either before the salt or right away after. Can salt vegetables and leave them in the salt.
that's actually a perfect example. A lot of times people have cucumber just with salt.
Can do that on Shabbos.
Even if you